All right, quick and real with you. The Cowboys just added some much-needed help on defense, and it changes the conversation for the Raiders game and beyond. But let's be honest, it's equal parts exciting, and let's not get ahead of ourselves. DeMarvion Overshown, Agent O, is finally back on the 53 after his recovery. And that alone flips a switch for this defense because you already know what he brings. Energy, downhill tackling, and a presence that forces offenses to respect the run and the second level. On top of that, rookie Savion Rebel has come off IR and is available after a long rehab from an ACL. His return gives the secondary breathing room and a developmental piece you can evaluate live. Toss in the mid-season additions of Logan Wilson and the All-Pro defensive tackle Quinnen Williams, and suddenly you've got 4 meaningful upgrades across different parts of the defense. That's not a minor patch job. That's the start of a new look and a real chance for improvement. Now, real talk about expectations. This isn't a everything's fixed moment. Overshown's presence should improve communication, tackling, and occasional splash plays, but he won't single-handedly transform the defense overnight. For Savion Rebel, the priority is being smart with his snaps. He's a rookie coming off a serious injury, and the staff will shepherd him back gradually so they don't lose long-term upside to short-term muscle memory. The bigger picture here is that the Cowboys are finally putting more NFL-quality players on the field on defense, which should help lower the points allowed average if the coaching staff can find some consistency with personnel groupings and assignments. That said, we also have to factor in a troubling development at safety. Wani Thomas dealing with migraines and being moved to IR is real, and it weakens depth in a spot where the team already had questions. So while we celebrate Overshown and Rebel coming back, we also acknowledge the hole Thomas's absence creates and the urgency that generates for the front office and coaching staff. For right now, though, let's keep it simple. You get a bump in talent and a lot to watch. Do you think Agent O starts this week? Drop a Y or N in the comments and hit like if you want more roster updates. And if you're not subscribed yet, help push the channel to 16,000 by subscribing right now. If you followed DeMarvion Overshown before the injury, you already know the kind of juice this guy brings. Agent O isn't just another linebacker. He's a tone setter. He's that guy who flies around the field, who hits with intent, who communicates, and who elevates the energy of everyone lined up beside him. When you think back to his flashes from the 2024 season, you could see the instincts already developing: fast reads, quick trigger, and the confidence to take on blockers and still finish the play. That version of Overshown was just scratching the surface before the knee injury changed everything. Now, after a long rehab and a cautious ramp-up through the practice window, he's back. And the timing couldn't be better for a Dallas defense that's been searching for leadership and identity under Matt Eberflus. Eberflus's scheme thrives on discipline and pursuit angles, and Overshown fits that mold perfectly. He's built for those hybrid packages where you need someone who can buzz the flat, close gaps on delayed draws, and still carry a tight end up the seam when the offense tries to stretch the field. He's not a highlight reel every down kind of player, but what he does is stabilize the middle of the field and make the entire defense faster. That's something this team has sorely missed since the departures and injuries began stacking up. Having Logan Wilson next to him adds a steady veteran who can handle traffic in the box, freeing Overshown to flow sideline to sideline, the way he did at Texas, the way Cowboys fans have been waiting to see in a star helmet again. But let's be honest, Overshown's story isn't just about scheme fit, it's about resilience. 2 ACL tears before you even get your second full season going would crush a lot of players. For him, it just sharpened his focus. He's been public about how much this return means, talking about prime time under the bright lights of Las Vegas. That kind of motivation can't be faked. It's personal, and it's dangerous for opposing offenses, because an inspired Overshown plays with emotion that translates to results. Still, we've got to keep expectations realistic. Don't expect him to play 90% of defensive snaps right out of the gate. Not with a fresh return from injury and a coordinator who values rotation. Expect situational usage. Maybe 25 to 35 snaps, mostly on early downs and third and medium situations where his range is a weapon. If he can stay healthy and build confidence through November, then by December we might be talking about him as a centerpiece of this retooled defense rather than just a returning contributor. And one more thing, Overshown's leadership is quiet but magnetic. Younger guys rally around him, and veterans respect the way he works. That's exactly the kind of locker room energy this defense needed after a rough first half of the season. Tell me in the comments, what's the one Overshown play that made you believe he could be special? Drop a timestamp if you remember it, because reliving those flashes is part of the fun. If you're hyped to see Agent O back out there, hit like and make sure you're subscribed so we can keep bringing this coverage and hit our 16,000 goal. Savion Rebel's comeback story is one of those that quietly carries a ton of weight for the Cowboys' future. He isn't a household name yet, but the potential is there. And the fact that he's even ready to be activated after a torn ACL last year says a lot about his drive and how carefully the medical staff handled his recovery. Rebel was a third-round pick for a reason. The Cowboys saw a combination of size, physicality, and confidence that fit perfectly with what they want in their corners. The plan all along was to bring him along slowly, and that's exactly what's happening now. Executive Vice President Stephen Jones already hinted that the team isn't going to rush him, and that's smart football management. They'll see how the week goes, how his knee responds to full-speed practice reps, and if they think he's ready, he'll dress. If not, that's fine too. It's not about forcing a debut just to say he played. What matters is that Rebel's recovery is complete, the knee is strong, and the timeline suggests he's entering the stage where he can start to build real game confidence. Think about it. A full year and 2 months since the injury. That's more than enough time to rebuild strength and stability. So when he does hit the field, he should be able to move without hesitation. Now, let's talk fit. Rebel's game is built on aggressive man coverage and quick reaction in zone. He's not a pure lockdown guy yet, but he has that natural feel for routes that allows him to undercut passes and create turnovers. You can tell from his college tape and early practice notes that he has a ball hawk mentality. That's something this secondary has missed, especially with inconsistent play opposite DaRon Bland. And that brings us to a real question. Could Rebel eventually become that dependable outside corner who lets Bland move back into his comfort zone in nickel packages? That's one of the biggest storylines to watch over the next few weeks, because the answer could directly influence how the Cowboys approach the 2026 draft and free agency. Still, patience matters. Fans have to resist the temptation to expect Savion Rebel to step on the field and instantly fix the secondary. He's a rookie coming off a major injury. Even if he looks good, there will be growing pains. The staff wants him learning the playbook, getting his communication down with the safeties, and adjusting to the speed of NFL receivers. If he manages to stay healthy and show flashes in coverage, maybe a pass breakup here, a confident tackle there, that's already a win for this stage of his development. And if he does end up active against the Raiders and gets tested a couple of times, that's the perfect opportunity for everyone to see how that knee holds up in real game conditions. His dad's been publicly confident about his son's readiness, even saying if Savion gets targeted more than twice, he's calling an interception. You've got to love that family belief. If Rebel proves them right, it could spark a late-season storyline for this defense. Either way, this is less about one game and more about what he can become. If Rebel shows he's capable of handling himself on the outside, Dallas may only need to add one more starting caliber corner this offseason instead of two. And that's a huge shift in team-building flexibility. So tell me, would you rather the Cowboys draft another top corner next offseason, or trust Savion Rebel to grow into that role? Drop draft or trust Rebel in the comments and make your case. And if you like these rookie breakdowns, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss future deep dives. This part of the story hits a lot harder because it's not about scheme, it's about health. And it's about how quickly things can change for a player trying to make his mark. Safety. Juani Thomas has been placed on injured reserve, not because of a typical football injury but because he's been dealing with chronic, debilitating migraines, and that's going to sideline him for a minimum stretch. For a team already stretched thin in the secondary, that's a tough blow. The Cowboys were hoping this would be the year he stamped his spot in the rotation, maybe even push past veterans and show he could be part of the long-term plan. He had the physical traits and the communication skills, and fans liked his engagement and heart. But migraines aren't something you can tough out. They can zap focus, energy, and one's ability to think clearly. This isn't a knee sprain you play through. From a roster-building standpoint, this is a major complication. When your backup safety, the one you were grooming to take a step forward, suddenly becomes unavailable indefinitely, it forces the front office to rethink its plan. The Cowboys might need to rebuild that safety room in the offseason, adding not just one starter but depth pieces who can be counted on to be available. Availability is the single most valuable trait in roster planning, and this situation brings that into sharp focus. None of this is to say Thomas's career is over, far from it. But timing matters in the NFL, and the timing here couldn't have been worse. The defense is mid-transition, new coordinator, new pieces, and every snap matters for evaluation. If Thomas can't provide those snaps, the staff loses evaluation opportunities, and the front office faces harder choices in free agency and the draft. As fans, we should be empathetic here. This affects more than his career. It affects his life. So while we want him back on the field, first priority has to be his well-being. I'll ask you straight. If you were in the Cowboys front office, would you prioritize drafting a safety early next offseason? Or do you think this group can hold steady if everyone else stays healthy? Drop draft or stay put in the comments and explain your reasoning in one line. All right, let's pull this all together and be blunt about what it really means for the rest of the season and for roster construction moving forward. You've got 4 meaningful defensive upgrades landing in Dallas. Overshown back, Savion Rebel off IR, plus Logan Wilson and Quinnen Williams. And that's enough to change the temperament of the defense from tanked confidence to cautious optimism. Realistically, those additions should help lower the points allowed average, improve tackling in short yardage situations, and give the staff more freedom to mix personnel without exposing the same glaring weaknesses. But reality check. You still have holes, especially at safety with Juani Thomas sidelined by migraines. And the secondary as a whole needs cohesion, communication, consistent alignment, and fewer busted coverages before you can call this a true turnaround. This season now becomes equal parts evaluation and salvage. Evaluate the newcomers. How Overshown handles rotational snaps. How Rebel responds in live reps. Evaluate how coaches adjust schematically to new pieces, and salvage as many wins as you can while building toward next offseason. On the roster construction front, these moves buy the front office options. If Rebel proves reliable, you might only need to add 1 starting caliber corner instead of 2, which frees draft capital or cap space for a safety or pass rush help. If Thomas's migraines continue to be a concern, though, you have to prioritize safety depth in the draft and free agency. Availability is the single most valuable trait in roster planning. And don't forget how fast things change in this league. Rosters move overnight, Micah Parsons is now a Packers player, and that kind of shakeup shows why staying proactive at the trade deadline and during the season matters. Bottom line, be excited, but don't overcorrect. Celebrate Overshown's return and Rebel's activation as real positives, but demand prudent use and patient evaluation from the staff. For the Raiders game, expect a modest immediate impact, flashes from the new pieces, rotational snaps for Overshown, possibly limited usage for Rebel, and a bigger story arc unfolding over the next month as the defense gels. Now I want to hear from you. Are you optimistic, neutral, or pessimistic about the Cowboys' playoff chances after these moves? Cast your vote in the comments and tell me why in one sentence. And if you found this breakdown useful, hit like and subscribe. Help push the channel to 16,000 subscribers so we can keep delivering these deep dives every week.